and welcome to the third and final session of the Smartphone Storytelling Masterclass with me, Rehmat. If you haven't already done so, please go back and watch the previous two sessions where we learnt about how to put together our concept and our films. And this session is going to be focusing on how to market our films. So the course is built up of these three sessions plus a recorded Zoom session at the beginning and at the end of the process. So those are just answering any kind of frequently answered questions and frequently asked questions and things like that. So please feel free to tune into those as well. In this session, I'm mainly sharing my experience of marketing my own films. So grab a hot drink, grab a cup of tea or something, and come and join me with a pen and paper. So the optional homework that I gave you last session was to watch a documentary that I made called Toxification. It's available on Amazon Prime, so if you haven't done so already, please do that now. And if that's something that's not available to you right now, because I know there is a cost involved if you don't have an Amazon Prime subscription, I'm going to share with you the trailer now.
ਦੇਖੋ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਸਾਡਾ ਖੇਤੀ ਦਾ ਧੰਦਾ, ਸਾਡਾ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡਾ ਭਰੋਸਾ ਰੱਬ ਨਾਲ ਹੈ।
ਪੈਸਟੀਸਾਈਡ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡੀ ਮਾਰਕੀਟ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਮੇਰੇ ਖਿਆਲ ਏਸ਼ੀਆ ਦੀ।
It's a major problem. We don't have too many years, maybe 2-3 decades, and then everything collapses here.
Green revolution I rather call greed revolution.
ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਤਾਂ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਦਵਾਈਆਂ ਰੇ ਫਾਲਤੂ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਕਿ ਮੇਰੀ ਫਸਲ ਮਾੜੀ ਨਾ ਰਹੇ ਜੀ, ਪਰ ਉਹ ਖਾਣ ਦੇ ਯੋਗ ਦੀ ਤਾਂ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ। ਪਰ ਕਰੀਏ ਕੀ? ਇਹ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਨਾ ਇੱਕ ਆਮਲੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ, ਉਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਭੁੱਕੀ ਖਾਦੇ ਬਿਨਾ ਫੀਮ ਖਾਦੇ ਬਿਨਾ ਉਹ ਖੇਤ 'ਚ ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ, ਔਰ ਉਹ ਖਾਊਗਾ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਖੇਤ ਚੱਲੂ। ਉਹੀ ਇੱਕ ਰੂਟੀਨ ਬਣ ਗਿਆ ਸਾਡੇ ਖੇਤਾਂ ਦਾ, ਸਾਡੀ ਜ਼ਮੀਨ ਦਾ।
ਮੇਰਾ ਜੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਬਸ ਮੈਂ ਖੁਦਕੁਸ਼ੀ ਕਰ ਲਾਂ, ਨਹਿਰ 'ਚ ਛਾਲ ਮਾਰ ਕੇ ਮਰ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਟਰੱਕ ਦੇ ਥੱਲੇ ਆ ਜਾਂ। ਮੇਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਜੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਂਦੀ, ਹੁਣ ਮੇਰਾ ਬੁਰਾ ਹਾਲ ਆ।
ਜਦੋਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਡੈਡੀ ਮੁੱਕਿਆ, ਇਹ ਛੋਟੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੋਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਸੁਰਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ। ਇਹ 8 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਸੀ ਮਨਪ੍ਰੀਤ, ਤੇ ਇਹਦਾ ਡੈਡੀ ਕਰਜ਼ੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਦੁਖੀ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਸੀ। ਉਹਨੇ ਔਖਾ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਸਪਰੇਅ ਪੀ ਲਈ।
Once we overexploit the soil, the water, and we pollute the air, we are bound to pay the price. We are actually committing crimes. We can sow a seed and see it grow, and it gives a great amount of joy to see that miracle of nature that is reproducing itself on a daily basis. It is marvelous. The farmer is someone who can be independent, and he can be his own master actually on his own land. We have a legacy to leave for the next generation, so it is our duty to work with nature.
So Toxification is an award-winning documentary. It's been featured in The Guardian, which is one of the kind of biggest newspapers here in the UK. It's been featured in the Tribune India, the Times of India. It's been featured on a number of news channels. It's been in cinemas. It was selected for a number of film festivals as well. It's been watched by thousands and thousands of people, and of course it's available now to watch on Amazon Prime. And the process of making the film was, we had zero budget. It was a completely zero budget film, and we filmed it on the most basic of camera equipment back in 2014. We had no experience in making a film of this size, and so I'm going to share with you now how we were able to get it to the places that it has been. So the first thing is, I knew that I had a really powerful film. So we had spent a month filming in India, and we knew that the footage that we had was really, really powerful. So we put it together, and you know about this process from session 2. We put it together, we went through the editing process, all of that kind of thing. And during that process, we ran a crowdfunding campaign in order to pay for some of the costs that we couldn't cover ourselves, because all of the editing was in-house. It was just the sound engineering and things like that which we couldn't cover ourselves. So we ran a crowdfunder, and we also aimed to use some of the money that we raised from the crowdfunder to pay for festival submissions, because it was really important to us that the film got into some festivals. And the reason for that is that film festivals can give your film a lot of traction. So they basically give you an audience, and they put your film in front of the audience. That's the gist of it. And some film festivals are free to submit to, while others have a fee to submit, and that fee can range from $10 up to, I think the most expensive one that we paid for was about $80-90. So there's a massive range, but the benefit is that you're getting your film in front of audiences, and usually very kind of discerning audiences who are really interested in films, who, the kind of people who go to film festivals. So they're a really good audience for your film. Another thing we did during the process was to put together our social media. So we set up social media accounts mainly on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and we were posting pretty regularly throughout the whole process. And that was a really important thing for us, because really our marketing campaign has consisted of social media, basically. That's how it's worked. So it's really worked well for us. And because it's a free resource, I encourage everyone to use that route and to kind of leverage what social media can provide for us. We submitted to around 50 film festivals, and we only at this stage made it into one film festival. And I'll explain a little bit more about why that was a bit later, but we spent probably around the region of £1,000 on film festival submissions, all of which essentially went down the drain. It wasn't until I began kind of talking to people and really sharing what we were doing with the audiences that I felt were more likely to connect with the film that we started to get somewhere. So I essentially figured out my target audience, and from then things started going a bit better for us. So there was one film festival that I really wanted the film to be selected for. It's called UK Asian Film Festival, and that kind of fitted in with our film and the audiences that would be interested in our film. So rather than just submitting kind of off the bat, I found out that their office was actually not too far from me. It was about a 20-30 minute drive from me. And so I emailed them, and I asked them if I could go in personally to deliver a copy of my film. And I did that, and I met them. And the following year's lineup came out, and Toxification was not on it. But what did happen was that the following year, they contacted me because they knew that they needed to have a film which covered an environmental issue as part of their film festival. And that's why they thought of me, and they thought of Toxification. So I think it's really important to be meeting people and to be making those physical connections, because it really helps for people to bear you in mind and keep you in mind, and you never know what's going to happen in the future. And it was from this point that we really started to gain a lot of traction and a lot of success. So from here we focused on private viewing. So my idea was that if we can have a private viewing and invite people who might be likely to sponsor the film, then we might be able to pay for cinema screenings, because that was something that was really important to me. I've spent all this time on this film. I really care about it and the way that it looks and the way that it feels. And I want it to be watched on a big screen with a good quality sound system. And so cinema was very important to me, and that was what we did next. So we organised a screening, and that was a lot of kind of word of mouth, using my own contacts and figuring out ways that I could do it. So I contacted a number of venues. I also had another organisation come on board to support me with this. And again, that was just through talking to people and making those connections. And so there was one venue that were happy to support it, and that was Ernest & Young in London. And so we had the private viewing of Toxification there, and it's in central London. It's a beautiful venue, and they did the catering for it, and it became a very VIP kind of event. And I knew that we had 250 seats and that I wanted 250 potential sponsors to be there. And so I sent private invites to a lot of people that I knew, people that I didn't know, who I felt should really be there. So it was potential sponsors. There were also influencers, anyone with a large social media following, and anyone who I just felt could spread the word and could support us in some way. There were a number of charities as well, and people who were doing work in the same kind of field that we were doing work in. The private view was a massive success, and we received the full sponsorship amount that we wanted on the night. So essentially we had created 3 different sponsorship packages, and they were kind of bronze, silver and gold, and we received the gold sponsorship package on the night. So that was really brilliant, and it meant that we knew that we were going to go into cinemas. We knew that we could kind of cover that cost. But the other thing that was really amazing was that everyone was sharing about it on their social media. So everyone who was at the event, we kind of, I kind of gave a little speech, and I said, you know, it's really important to be sharing it because we need to gain traction and we need people to be learning about these issues. And so there was a big buzz, and I had also invited a filmmaker friend to make a kind of like a trailer on the event, so I was able to share that, and we had a photographer there as well. So that was really, really supportive for the whole process, because it was where noise started to be made. And so, of course, then we moved on to the cinema screenings. So we held 7 cinema screenings in the UK. The first one, which was in London, was a sellout, which was absolutely brilliant. And around that time, I was actually contacted by a film festival in Canada, which was Ottawa Indian Film Festival. And they asked me to submit my film to their festival because they had heard about it. And that's the position that you want to be in as a filmmaker, where people are asking you to submit your film to their festival, because obviously they waived the fee. There was no fee for me to pay, and the film was selected for the festival. I flew out to Canada to be there during the screening, which was really important to me, again, because I knew that I needed to be meeting people and to be making connections. And that was really supportive as well, because Toxification won the Best Documentary Award at the kind of closing ceremony at the end of the festival, which was really brilliant because, number one, I was brushing shoulders with some of the greatest filmmakers and actors and actresses in the field, but I was also able to say this film is now award-winning. And after we won the award, that was when the media started to take notice. So I was approached by The Guardian because they wanted to write a piece on it. So I did an interview for them, and I started doing a lot of different interviews for different kind of media outlets. Meanwhile, our screenings in the UK were still going on. So we completed those screenings up and down the country, and then COVID hit. And so this is in 2019, 2020. And so we cancelled all of our remaining screenings, and we decided to move on to a video on demand platform. So something like Netflix, Amazon Prime, that's where we wanted to go. And there are a few different processes and ways of getting there. We were actually really keen on Netflix, and we submitted to Netflix 3 times. The way you do this is through an aggregator. So it's essentially a middle person, and they will take on the films which they think that Netflix will be interested in, and then they kind of facilitate the process. And we did that 3 times on 3 different events, and we didn't get anywhere. And I think that's a story from the whole process. There were a lot of points where it felt like we weren't getting anywhere, but it's just really important to just keep moving. And so we found out about Amazon Video Direct. So Amazon Video Direct is a really brilliant way of getting your film seen, because you can literally upload your film to Amazon, and then it will appear on Amazon Prime, obviously subject to all of the checks and everything. And then when someone watches it, you make a little bit of revenue every time someone watches it. And so we decided to go for that route. It's essentially self-publishing, or whatever the word is with film, self-distributing. And we decided to go with that because it meant that there were no fees for us to pay. And at this point, from being a zero budget film and having put so much of our own time and energy and money into the project, we were not really willing to put any more in. And so we decided to go for that route. The main challenge was captions. So Amazon Prime needs a special form of captions, which we weren't able to do in-house. So we had to cover the cost of those, which was quite expensive. I think it was about £1,000. But that's for a feature film, so it's per minute. And so we did that, and then we kind of self-published it, self-distributed it onto Amazon Prime, which is where it is now. And since it's been on Amazon Prime, it's been watched by thousands of people. It's available in the UK and the USA on Amazon Prime. And so that's really opened up our audience base, because before that it was mainly, in the UK, and then when we had film festivals, there were people in that area who were able to watch it. And I forgot to mention, we ended up being selected for a couple of other film festivals, one in the USA, during this period of traction where people were kind of taking notice. And that's kind of our end point now. So I'm still doing, I'll still do the odd interview here and there, and I still speak at events sometimes. And I've been kind of featured on a few different podcasts speaking about the film. But really, I think this is probably our end point now. And we're probably towards the end of the kind of life of toxification and the journey of toxification. And the vision is that it will kind of just stay on Amazon Prime. And hopefully people will continue to watch it. So that's been my journey, and hopefully that is going to support you in your journey. So we're going to do a mindfulness exercise now. So this exercise is to create a vision board, and you might have heard or seen a vision board before. Essentially, it's a visual reference of where we want to be, what we want to create in the future. And what's really helpful about it is that you can keep it on your desk or something like that, or somewhere that you see it often, so that you keep being reminded of where you want to be. And another important thing about it is that it focuses us on exactly what the goal is. So that's why I find it really helpful, and it's something that I did for toxification, and I genuinely believe that it was in part responsible for the success, because it got me really clear on what I wanted, and it reminded me every day that it was purposeful, that there was a point to it, and that it was achievable, because I found a photo of the inside of a cinema, and I superimposed a still from toxification into that cinema. So kind of having this visual of a cinema screening and knowing that it is possible really kept me going in those kind of dark times when it didn't feel like it was maybe so possible. So there are lots of different ways that you can make a vision board. You can grab a few magazines and you can cut out any pictures or words that are that kind of resonate for you, or you can print out photos and words. You can also do it digitally, so you can use like just Microsoft Word, or there's like websites like Canva where you can put together a vision board online. So feel free to go with whichever one works for you. If you can't do any of those things, you can also just draw. So just drawing, the future for this film. And really what I want you to ask yourself while creating this vision board is, what is my end goal for this film? Where do I want this film to be or do or be seen? Or, what is the future for this film? And I invite you to do it as an end goal. So not just where do I potentially think this film can be? What is the maximum possibility for this film? What do I really want this film to achieve. So I invite you to create your vision board now. So spend as long as you like doing this, and really stay mindful of the question of, where do I want to go with this film? So enjoy the process, and I will see you once you've completed your vision board. So you've created your vision board. Have a look at it now, and have a think about when you want to get to that point. Realistically, how long do you think it will take? And what are the tools that you need to fulfill this? You don't have to follow my route, of course, but I think it's important to make sure that you do have a route. So I invite you to spend a moment just creating a roadmap or a flowchart for your film. So figuring out what your process is going to be, so that you know which order you need to kind of do things in. And I invite you to put a kind of time scale next to each task, as well as any support that you need, any organisations that can help you, anything like that. So feel free to, again, spend a moment putting together this flowchart or this roadmap for how you think your process should work. And this is something that I can't show you how to do. It just has to be your choice. And you can make whichever choice you want here, and be realistic as well. So if you've got a year to spend on this, then great, use that time. If you know that you've only got a month, that's fine. You can still do a lot in a month. So be realistic, and it's really important to map this out so that we can ensure that it happens. And I think the saddest thing would be to create an amazing film which no one ever sees. So this is really important. I know it might not feel so creative, but I invite you to do that now. So you've got your roadmap and you've learnt a little bit about my process. I'm going to finish with a few tips that will hopefully help you on your journey to marketing your film. The first one is to have a social media strategy. As I mentioned, social media is it was so powerful for me, and because it's a free tool, I think it's something that we can all kind of harness. So have a strategy. So for me, what was the most powerful was getting larger pages to share my content. So at the time, I probably had like 500 to 1,000 followers, and what helped me was to get pages which had like 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 followers to be sharing my posts, because then it was getting out to a much bigger audience than my audience. So the way that I did that was literally just to message other pages and say, hey, please can you share this, and send them the photo that I want them to share and the text, so that literally all they have to do is share it. Like, they don't have to think about what post to put together or anything like that. You're literally giving them the content and they just share it. So that's one route that I really, really recommend. It's also really important to have content ready to share. So if you've got any behind the scenes photos or anything like that, just collate it, have it ready in a folder somewhere, so that you can keep posting it. You can put together graphics. Canva is a really, really amazing tool for this. It's Canva. And it has lots and lots of different templates for social media posts. So really utilize that. I mean, that wasn't really around when I was doing the social media for Toxification. So, if I could now, I would definitely utilize that platform. And another thing is the website. I would say this is up to your budget, because obviously it costs money to have a website. For us, it was really helpful because then we could point people there, and we had our press pack on the website. So if you like, you can check out our press pack. You can find it at toxification.com. Check it out. It's a really important and valuable thing, because any press that come to us, we direct them to the press pack, which gives them a really good overview of how the journey has been, and where people can find the film and things like that, and a little bit about the team. So put together a press pack. You can use ours as a template. and keep that somewhere, whether that's on your website or whether that's in your link in bio or wherever you keep it. I think it's really important to have it. You can even keep it on Dropbox or Google Drive or something like that. If you do submit to film festivals, don't make the mistake that I did. Research the film festivals. Don't just submit to the biggest film festivals hoping that you'll get in. Go for the niche. So figure out what your target audience is. So for Toxification, we knew that the target audience were people who are interested in the environment and people who are interested in the culture and the subcontinent and that kind of thing. So that was our, we knew a little bit about our audience, so we were able to find film festivals which were going to cater to those topics. So only submit to film festivals which you know are going to work with your target audience. You can use a couple of different websites to submit. The two biggest ones are Film Freeway and Without a Box. So check those out. They make it really, really easy to submit your film. In terms of the fee to submit, you can apply for a waiver. So you can email the film festival directly and ask them for a waiver. And when you do this, you have to send them a link to your film. So you're basically saying, here's the film, please can I have a waiver so that I don't have to pay the fee? And obviously they will give you a waiver if they feel that your film, should really be submitted, if they feel that your film will likely make it into the festival. So put together an email and you can find the email address of the film festivals for sure on Film Freeway. I'm not sure about Without a Box, but you can find it. I'm sure you can find it there, or you can find it on their website or whatever. So give it a try, apply for a fee waiver. And if you don't get a fee waiver, I invite you just to just do your research. And if you do pay for the festival fee, just make sure that you've got a good chance of getting your film in. You don't want to just be submitting to any old film festival without really doing the research. Don't worry too much about the the deadlines, the cutoff points, because they always come and go, and there are like millions and millions of film festivals in the world. So don't let that kind of stress you out or make you feel like you have to pay the fee if it's something that you're not really 100% on. The cinema route is usually only for feature films, full-length films. But I mean, you could do it if you think that you have the budget for that. Hiring cinemas can be really expensive. It ranges a lot from the smaller scale independent cinemas, which you can potentially hire for like 100, 200, 300 pounds, to the Views and the Cineworlds, which are maybe like 800, 1,000 pounds. So it varies a lot and you need a budget for that. So look into crowdfunding, look into getting some kind of sponsorship on board, if that's the route that you want to take. In terms of getting your film online, Amazon Video Direct has been brilliant for us. I have to say it's not a massive money maker, so you only make a small portion every time someone watches the film. But I think it's a really good way to get it out there, to get it accessible, and you do make some revenue, so that's good. Good luck with the process. I hope it goes really, really well. Please do keep in touch with us through the Facebook group. We'd love to hear how your film is doing and to celebrate any successes with you. Thank you so much for joining this masterclass. I'll be seeing you in the Zoom event after this, but I just wanted to share that I will be running more masterclasses like this. I'm planning to run a much more in-depth series in the future, which is really going to share with you my exact processes, for example, with social media and paid advertising, and how to put together a press pack and lots of different things. So stay tuned for that. You can follow me on social media. I mainly hang out on Instagram, so you can find me at Rehmat Photo Film there. And yeah, you can find out more about the courses that I'll be running in the future there. So thank you so much for joining me in this masterclass, and do stay in touch, and I look forward to hearing about your progress with your films.